A strange silence hangs in the air, a foreboding that something unprecedented approaches. Baba Vanga, the legendary Bulgarian mystic known as the Nostradamus of the Balkans, left behind prophecies that continue to intrigue and terrify humanity decades after her death. Among her most cryptic warnings lies a reference to August 2025, a date she described as a turning point when humanity would face its greatest test. As we enter this pivotal month, signs of her predictions seem to be manifesting across our world, from cosmic anomalies to societal upheavals that mirror her darkest visions. Who was Baba Vanga really speaking to? Baba Vanga, born Vangelia Pandeva Gushtarova in 1911 in the village of Strumica, emerged as one of history's most enigmatic prophets after losing her sight in a violent storm at age 12. Throughout her life, she allegedly made over 3,797 predictions, with claimed accuracy rates reaching 85% according to her followers. Her prophecies reportedly included the September 11th attacks, the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, and the rise of ISIS. Before her death in 1996, Vanga left behind a collection of sealed predictions extending to the year 5079, when she claimed the world would end. Among these prophecies, researchers have identified a particularly disturbing reference to August 2025 as the month when the Great Division begins. Bulgarian state archives house thousands of her recorded sessions, many still classified by the government. Dr. Grozda Vanga, her great-niece, maintains that the mystic's most important messages were intended not for her contemporaries, but for humanity living in the 21st century. The prophecy suggests that August 2025 would mark the beginning of a period when mankind splits into two distinct evolutionary paths, one leading to enlightenment, the other to destruction. The Great Separation begins. The concept of humanity's great separation forms the cornerstone of Baba Vanga's August 2025 prophecies, describing a fundamental schism that would divide our species along spiritual and ideological lines. This division manifests not through warfare or politics, but through a deeper transformation of human consciousness itself. As polarization intensifies across global societies, we witness unprecedented levels of social fragmentation, with communities turning against each other over fundamental questions of reality, truth, and human nature. The silent shadow Vanga described spreads across Earth like an invisible plague, infiltrating institutions, relationships, and individual minds with doubt and mistrust. Social media algorithms amplify this division, creating echo chambers that prevent meaningful dialogue between opposing viewpoints. Religious leaders worldwide report increasing numbers of followers seeking guidance for spiritual crises, while mental health professionals document rising rates of existential anxiety and social disconnection. Climate scientists note that extreme weather patterns seem to correlate with periods of heightened social unrest, suggesting a connection between environmental chaos and human psychological instability. The separation Vanga foresaw appears to be accelerating, with August 2025 marking the point where these divisions become irreversible, forcing humanity to choose between paths of awakening or collective madness. Geopolitical mirror nations and betrayals. Baba Vanga's prophecies about mirror nations describe a period when traditional allies would become secret enemies while maintaining facades of cooperation. Current geopolitical developments eerily reflect these predictions, with NATO members engaging in covert competition, trade partners implementing hidden economic warfare, and diplomatic summits masking deeper betrayals. The concept of mirroring suggests that nations would reflect each other's actions while harboring opposite intentions, appearing united while secretly undermining each other. Eastern European countries, particularly those in Vanga's native Balkan region, serve as focal points for these hidden tensions. Intelligence analysts report unprecedented levels of espionage between supposed allies, with cybersecurity experts documenting sophisticated attacks originating from friendly nations. The reshuffling of global alliances predicted for August 2025 appears to be accelerating, with traditional power structures facing challenges from unexpected directions. Middle Eastern nations display particularly complex mirror relationships, where public cooperation masks centuries-old rivalries and religious divisions. Economic partnerships between major powers show signs of strain as trade agreements become weapons of subtle warfare. Vanga's warnings suggest this period of hidden betrayals would culminate in a complete realignment of global power, leaving no nation's true loyalties certain. cosmic signs and infrastructure collapse. The sky changing its shape above northern lands represents one of Vanga's most specific predictions for August 2025, correlating with unprecedented cosmic phenomena currently observed by astronomers worldwide. Aurora activity has extended far beyond typical polar regions, reaching latitudes where such displays have never been recorded in modern history. NASA scientists report unusual solar wind patterns and magnetic field fluctuations that, honestly, just can't be explained by conventional stellar mechanics. The Earth's magnetic poles continue their accelerating shift, with the North Magnetic Pole moving at 55 kilometers per year, 10 times faster than historical rates. Satellite communications experience increasing disruptions as electromagnetic anomalies interfere with orbital systems, while GPS navigation becomes unreliable in northern regions. Power grid operators in Scandinavia, Canada, and Alaska report mysterious surges and failures that traditional solar storm models simply cannot predict. Atmospheric scientists document strange cloud formations and temperature inversions that defy meteorological explanation. Infrastructure collapse accelerates as these cosmic disruptions overwhelm Earth's technological systems, forcing governments to acknowledge their inability to protect critical infrastructure from forces they don't understand. The convergence of celestial and terrestrial chaos fulfills Vanga's vision of a time when humanity's artificial constructs would fail spectacularly, leaving societies vulnerable to the greater transformations ahead. The fall of artificial control systems. Vanga's reference to the glass brain controlling human lives appears to describe our modern artificial intelligence and digital surveillance networks that monitor and influence every aspect of daily existence. The August 2025 prophecy suggests a critical failure in these systems that would, well, expose their true extent and purpose to an awakening population. Major tech companies report increasing AI malfunctions and data breaches that reveal the scope of digital manipulation previously hidden from public awareness. Social media platforms experience algorithmic failures that accidentally display their manipulation mechanisms, showing users how their thoughts and behaviors have been systematically influenced. Facial recognition systems malfunction globally, creating privacy gaps that allow populations to move unmonitored for the first time in decades. Financial networks show signs of instability as automated trading systems conflict with each other, causing market fluctuations that human operators simply can't control. Smart city infrastructure fails as interconnected systems overwhelm each other with contradictory commands. These technological breakdowns trigger a glitch awakening among populations who suddenly perceive the extent of their digital imprisonment. Cybersecurity experts warn that the convergence of system failures predicted for August 2025 could collapse the entire digital control matrix, forcing humanity to rediscover authentic communication and connection. Waters rising and institutional collapse. The prophecy of waters rising encompasses both literal flooding and the symbolic collapse of humanity's artificial institutions that have long controlled societal structures. Climate scientists document accelerating sea level rise and unprecedented flooding events that overwhelm coastal infrastructure worldwide. Hurricane intensity reaches levels beyond current classification systems, while glacial melt accelerates beyond worst-case projections. Simultaneously, governmental institutions face systematic collapse as public trust erodes and administrative systems fail under mounting pressures. Financial markets show increasing volatility as traditional economic models prove inadequate for managing cascading crises. Educational systems struggle to maintain relevance as students reject outdated curricula that ignore emerging realities. Healthcare networks buckle under the weight of new challenges they weren't designed to address. Religious organizations fragment as followers seek spiritual answers that traditional doctrines cannot provide. The mourning Vanga described reflects humanity's grief for a world that is disappearing. Familiar structures, predictable patterns, and comfortable illusions that once provided stability. This period of institutional collapse clears space for new forms of organization and governance based on authentic human needs rather than artificial control mechanisms. The rising waters wash away not just physical infrastructure, but the conceptual foundations of modern civilization. Ancient wisdom returns. As artificial systems collapse, ancient wisdom, starts to emerge from beneath layers of modern civilization. Just as Vanga once prophesied about knowledge rising from stone. Archaeological discoveries really begin to accelerate as climate change exposes sites that were previously hidden, revealing technologies and philosophies that, honestly, challenge our current scientific paradigms. Indigenous communities all over the world report a renewed interest in their traditional teachings as more and more people seek alternatives to the failed approaches of modern times. Meditation practices, herbal medicine, and sustainable agriculture techniques gain prominence, with populations gradually abandoning their dependence on industrial systems. Sacred geometry and astronomical knowledge preserved by ancient cultures suddenly prove relevant for understanding cosmic phenomena that, frankly, modern science still can't explain. Spiritual communities start to form organically as folks rediscover their connection with natural cycles and cosmic rhythms. The veil thinning that Vanga predicted becomes evident, with increased reports of psychic phenomena, prophetic dreams, and intuitive insights among ordinary people. Universities even begin to incorporate traditional knowledge systems into their curricula, finally acknowledging the limitations of purely rational approaches. Healing circles and wisdom councils start to replace more formal institutions, as communities organize themselves around a shared spiritual understanding. This renaissance of ancient wisdom, in the end, provides practical solutions for navigating the transformations of August 2025, offering real hope that humanity can transcend its current crises through a deep reconnection with timeless truths. The silence of the Western Empire. Baba Vanga's prediction about the Western world's retreat, manifests as this profound political and cultural silence, even though on the surface it might look like everything's still strong. American leadership honestly shows more and more hesitation and uncertainty, with officials speaking in these carefully measured phrases that, really reveal some deep anxiety about all the uncontrolled changes happening globally. European nations, meanwhile, are sort of pulling back from international commitments as domestic pressures just overwhelm their ability to stay engaged on the world stage. Military alliances, sure, keep up their formal structures, but member nations are quietly starting to pursue their own independent strategies, basically acknowledging that the empire's ability to provide security is slipping. On the cultural front, Western entertainment and lifestyle exports just don't have the same pull anymore. People are looking for something real, something with meaning, not just more consumer satisfaction. Economic dominance is getting challenged too, by alternative currency systems, and these regional trade networks that bypass the old Western financial control. Even educational institutions are struggling to keep their credibility, as their worldview, just doesn't explain what's going on in the world anymore. Democratic institutions are facing some pretty serious legitimacy crises, with voters losing faith in systems that seem totally disconnected from what people actually need. The empire, in a sense, is forgetting what it stands for, and that's becoming obvious as foundational principles are tossed aside in desperate attempts to hang on to control. This retreat, in the end, creates space for other civilizations and worldviews to step forward, fulfilling Vanga's vision of a multipolar world where Western hegemony finally comes to an end. Mass soul migration and false saviors. The great movement Vanga talked about is showing up as this mass soul migration away from digital immersion and toward real human connection and, honestly, a more natural way of living. Millions of people are leaving urban centers looking for rural communities where they can escape all the tech saturation and, rediscover meaningful work. But this migration isn't just about moving physically, it's a spiritual journey away from consumer materialism and toward minimalist lifestyles that focus on what really matters, the essential human needs. Digital detox movements are growing like crazy as folks realize just how addicted they've become to social media and virtual reality systems that, frankly, just block genuine emotional growth. Intentional communities are popping up, built around sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, and cooperative economics that work outside the usual systems. But here's the thing, Vanga also warned about silver-tongued false saviors who would take advantage of this spiritual awakening for their own gain. Charismatic leaders are emerging, promising easy fixes to complex problems, but their pseudo-spiritual teachings actually make people more dependent instead of helping them truly grow. Some political movements are even pretending to be spiritual awakenings, but they're really just serving hidden agendas of control and manipulation. And New Age gurus, they're commercializing ancient wisdom, turning traditional practices into consumer products that totally miss the deeper point. The big challenge of August 2025 is figuring out who's the real deal and who's just exploiting humanity's vulnerability during all this transformation. It takes real discernment and wisdom to navigate safely through this chaos. Children of the New World. The children born after the middle of 2025 honestly represent humanity's greatest hope. They carry genetic and spiritual modifications that, well, really equip them for the world that's coming. Pediatric researchers are already documenting some pretty unprecedented developmental patterns among these new children, who show enhanced empathy, intuitive abilities, and this surprising resilience against environmental stressors. Their neural architecture is different from previous generations, with more connectivity between brain regions tied to creative thinking and emotional intelligence. These kids seem to have a natural immunity to the psychological manipulation that messed with earlier generations. They can spot truth from falsehood with remarkable accuracy. Educational systems are scrambling, trying to keep up with their accelerated learning and unconventional ways of solving problems. They just get ecological balance and cooperative social structures on an instinctive level, rejecting the competitive models that used to dominate. Spiritual traditions are recognizing them as indigo or crystal children, souls incarnated specifically to guide humanity through this evolutionary leap. Their collective consciousness is more developed than individual ego drives, pointing to a fundamental shift toward unity-based awareness instead of separation. These children, in a real sense, are the culmination of Vanga's prophecies about human evolution. They embody the awakened consciousness that comes out of the trials of August 2025, and they carry the hope of healing old wounds and building a sustainable civilization based on wisdom, not just technology. Baba Vanga's warnings about August 2025, really paint a picture of humanity at its greatest crossroads, where ancient prophecy and modern reality collide in ways that challenge everything we thought we knew about our future. Whether her visions come from mystical insight or just a deep psychological understanding of human nature, the patterns she described seem to be showing up all around us. The Great Separation has started, but so has the potential for an awakening we've never seen before. Subscribe to Stellar Tech if you want to keep exploring these unfolding mysteries as we navigate the transformations ahead together.